Certainly, right now, the most successful is probably just streaming of television programs. You know, that's becoming very popular. If you don't watch it on TV, then you can go home, watch it on your computer, whatever you want, and stream it. So that's very popular for the television viewers. The interactive content, which we've been funding now for 10 years, is more exciting for people who want to get involved. So that actually demands something of them. They don't just get to sit there and watch the streamed television program. They have to, play the game, do the activity, think, answer the questions, whatever, but they become very interactively involved in it. Upload their own material, create their own, edit their own, all those kinds of things are going on in the interactive world. So I think that's a different audience. There are people who want to do that, and then there are people who don't, and who simply want to stream content and watch television, but on their computer screen. And even that's changing, of course, because now you can stream a program or download a television program to your computer, but still watch it on your big television screen with a simple little wire. And so, that excuse of who wants to watch it on the little screen no longer exists. It's very easy to watch it whenever you want on your big screen. Or on your little tiny one when you're traveling in the subway, whatever. So the kind of content really, really will depend on the person, the time. I think people will use all kinds of content at all times, at different times rather, and it'll fit their schedules and when they need it. There's a lot of people using iPods, but you have to have the time to use the iPods. When you think about it, you have to be traveling somewhere where you're not driving the car yourself, or you have to be running or doing something where you actually have quiet time to use it. And so most people don't even have iPod time. You don't sit at home and listen to your iPod, you listen to the radio or the television. So all of the different technologies have their time and their place, and there are different people who will use them in different ways. And I think it's really exciting because there's so many opportunities to get so much more out of your entertainment and your knowledge base by having all these different platforms. So it'll be fun to see, and they're going to evolve. They're going to get better and better and better, and I think more. There'll be different ones that you never dreamt of. The trend is there. Everybody wants to be a filmmaker, basically, and so this is their opportunity to either comment or to put up their own movies. It's a huge business, and to think that only a few years ago, very few years ago, YouTube didn't exist at all. It's hard to believe because we all think it's been there forever. It's actually only been about 2 or 3 years. It's very short. And even streaming television programs on television, it's only a year. We haven't been able to do that in Canada more than a year or so ago. So that it's all new technology that we now already take for granted and assume it's been here forever. So I think the user-generated content, that really appeals to the basic nature in everybody to be able to express themselves and have the whole world hear and see what they have to say. So I suspect it's just evolving. We used to have speakers' corners where people would go to the park, and talk to the crowds, and this is just another step in that whole process. So I doubt that it'll ever go away. It may lose its allure. It may, people may get tired of having to produce their own material all the time. But I'm sure there'll always be new talents and new people. And it's such a great way to express yourself, to experiment with things. Certainly everyone sees themselves as being creative. And this is a great opportunity for everyone to take advantage of their own creativity. They are very different, and you don't want to get bad habits. So whatever it is that you develop, it has to be developed appropriately for each medium, really. So the new media, the internet, provides a fabulous opportunity to practice, really. For very low costs, you can learn how to write a good script, you can learn how to direct actors, you can learn how to use the camera properly and sound. A lot of that is perfect. You can develop your own portfolio so that you then have pieces to show professional producers that you've actually done some real work. So I think it's really a great tool for filmmakers who are in learning, for sure. The professional material, though, is just simply spending a lot more money doing the same thing. That's really what it is. And before anyone wants to give you a lot of money, they want to know that you have the ability to spend it wisely. So I think it's so fortunate for students today that they have the ability to use this technology in the best way possible to advance their skills and their careers. And as long as we still have the need for high budget television, they'll be able to move right into that whenever appropriate, and back and forth. Because I see a lot of professional filmmakers now who love the flexibility that the new media give them. So instead of having to worry about spending, $1 million on an hour drama series, they take their little mobile cameras and they love going out and shooting films and making documentaries for next to no money, and not having to worry about investors and raising the money and paying people back. So there is a back and forth between professional and student level that are using the technologies, both technologies, equally in different ways. And we here at the Belfond, we actually did some research in the last couple of years to figure out what the possibilities really were for revenue generation. And we're producing a Blicky, which is a combination wiki and blog, which will be online by the end of May. It's written by a bunch of expert authors and it explores the different ways that revenue has been generated for interactive content, cross-platform in particular, the kind that's based on television programs. So we will now have a resource in one place of all the ways you could possibly make money. So what we basically learned, though, is that unlike television, where you have a model where you take your television program and you sell it to broadcasters around the world and you license it, and that's your revenue. With new media and interactive content, there's probably about 10 or 15 different ways that you can make money, and you make little bits of money, but the little bits all add up to big bits. And the market is totally different. So for a Canadian filmmaker, a television producer, for example, they'll sell to markets around the world, and they know that they'll make X amount of money. For online producers, the world is their market right from day one, and they may very well be showing their online half-hour documentary to 1 billion people, not to just 100,000 in the Canadian market. And they have to engineer for success. They have to know right from the beginning that the world is their market, and even if they only got 10 cents or even 1 cent from 1 billion people, they're going to make just as much money as selling for $100,000 to a market somewhere in Europe. So it's an interesting new model, and licensing it around the world is only one way. There's millions of little portals that they can sell it to, and everybody uses them, and they provide, it's always a revenue share of advertising revenue or subscription fees or download fees. There's revenue shares all over the place. There's certainly advertising playing a large part of it, so anybody can put their content online and get the right advertisers for it, sponsors for it. All of that's possible. E-commerce is playing a role. We're seeing millions of little game portals, the little game portals for kids and for adults, where you can sell your game and make very little each time it's downloaded or used, but it all adds up. And so you start off getting checks for $200 a month, and that grows as it spreads around the world. It becomes popular. So you really get revenue from multiple sources, and it takes time and energy, and it's going to take some skilled people who know how to do this, and you certainly have to be able to market your project, and you need the audiences. So marketing and driving traffic to your project is going to be the next big hurdle. Once you can overcome that, revenue becomes a real possibility.